Last week, turn that one off. There, we'll try that. Last week, I finished up with why I'm a United Methodist, all the basics of that. Now we move into Dream Like Jesus. I know that with small churches and churches that remember the days when you were full to overflowing, it's really easy for us to begin to think, what can we do? I'm old. Folks, after my time in Beaver, that's no longer an excuse. I still expect you to be able to do something. We'll get into that. There's not many of us. After my year in Krebs, I guarantee you cannot get away with that one. In other words, we try to limit just how much we can do. And yet, Jesus told us, all the things that I do and more you will do. You'll do greater things than I have done. And I'm like, are you kidding me, Jesus? You had 12 people and you fed 5,000 people, not counting women or children. You really expect us to do that? Yeah, he does. But Jesus, I don't know. There's not many of us now. We used to have a lot more people. We used to have a vibrant young people doing all sorts of things in here. And Jesus says, you will do even greater things. And Paul actually in this, if you have, you will accomplish abundantly far more than we can even ask or imagine. We will accomplish more. But God, Jesus, I'm tired. I can't do that. Jesus is like, yeah, you can. Because I'm going to be there with you. You can do it. And here are some of the things I have seen in myself. The church at Krebs on a good day had 20 people in worship. Now Krebs is a small town, I give you that. But for 2 or 3 years, every Saturday, there were about 6 or 8 ladies who would gather at the community center and operate a soup kitchen by themselves. When 6 or 8 ladies can do that week after week, what can we accomplish? We can do more. It was probably about 4 years ago, I signed up for a year to be a mentor for grade school kids. At Beaver, the way that worked, I'm not sure if they're going to continue it or not, but the way it worked was you would show up at 11 o'clock. The kids would go to lunch and you would sit with them at their lunch table and then you'd go off and work on reading or play games just to be an adult presence in their life. Now, there's one thing I noticed was those school lunch meals were not like the meals when I was a kid. They looked really, really bad. I didn't want anything to do with those meals. And yet I saw kids there taking their fork, their spoon, and just shoveling it in. And when there was a kid who had plenty of food, didn't want any more, they would take from another kid and shovel it in. I don't know about you, but seeing kids just shovel food into their mouths bothers me. Because it means they're probably not getting enough. And I began to think, well, they get food at school, they get breakfast, they get lunch. What happens during the summer? What do they do? And I began to think, well, the swimming pool's open. Maybe we could take something as simple as peanut butter sandwiches down there and make sure the kids have food to eat. I was still thinking small. What can we do? But I was also a part of the Beaver County Community Coalition, and they came up with what the food bank had. Did you know that in small towns where they do not have meal service during the summer, the food bank offers boxes of food for kids? Each box has 5 breakfasts, 5 lunches. Kids can come every other week, get 2 boxes, or their parents. And they began to say, hey, can we do this? And one of my church members, who was also president, said, let Lisa do it. She has a passion for this. And so for the past 3 years, Beaver United Methodist Church has applied to the food bank, and through what they've gotten, they have fed anywhere from 50 to 75 kids every 2 weeks during the summer. Now, did we do that all on our own? No, but I'm going to guarantee you people were there to help. When the truck showed up, people showed up to unload the truck and store the boxes. And when people came, there were more people there to help them haul them out to their cars. That's some big families. And we were able to do far more than I could have even imagined. But it started with a dream of trying to feed hungry kids. And we fed far more than I could have ever imagined. I couldn't have made 50 or 75 sandwiches every week, every day. I would have been once a week. I couldn't even get the ministerial fellowship to join in and take a day. It would have been just us. We would have given them a sandwich for once a week. They got meals for 5 days a week. God had bigger plans in mind, but it started with a small dream. Can we feed the kids? And it happened. What are the small dreams that you have? What are the things you notice in the community? You see, our dreams, if we're going to dream like Jesus, we've got to think bigger than this church. Yeah, I know you all miss the days when the pews were full. I don't blame you on that. I remember being a kid and the church being filled to overflowing. I was always thrilled when I could sit in the overflow with my brother. He was a high school student. It didn't happen very often. But yeah, I was thrilled then. And today, there's people in the pews. The church is still going, but they don't open the overflow anymore. And we have a real problem when we begin to imagine the church that was as the church that will be. The church can thrive. The church can be a force for good, but it's not going to look like it did in the 1950s. It's going to look different, and our job is to imagine something different and to make a difference in the lives of people. And part of that is expanding what we think is possible. Now, for you who say, I'm too old, I don't know. 95-year-old Betty showed up to fill Christmas boxes with her cane in hand. Now, did she actually fill the boxes? No. But I guarantee you, she found a way to be productive to help those who did. She stood behind the table opening all the boxes from the grocery store, so all they had to do was grab the items and fill the boxes. 95-year-old Betty found a way to be productive. There's also my first funeral at Forgan. where the 100-year-old showed up at the church to help the 90-year-old get her salad into the church. Don't tell me you're too old. You're breathing. You're alive. There is something you can do, even if it's to sit down and pray for the ministries that are going on, to pray for eyes to be open, for God's will to be revealed to us. We need to expand our dreams of what is possible. And yes, we're going to have to work towards it, but it does not have to be just us. If it's money, you find ways to engage the community in a need. You find ways to look for grants. You look for ways where people want to help make a difference, and you become the conduit for making a difference. That's how you begin to expand dreams. And do I hope at some point there's more people in the sanctuary? Absolutely. I'd be crazy not to, because I know that Jesus is the answer for a lot of things. But Jesus doesn't call us to sit in church. Jesus called us to love God and love our neighbor. Now, we begin to love God in church, yes. And actually, we begin to love neighbor, too. We always talk about a church family. I don't know of a family out there that doesn't have bickering going on. There's not one out there. People are going to fight. That's being a family. Don't let it stop you. But we want the days when there's more, because that even expands further. But we go out and we find the people who are willing to help in the community. It does not have to be all us. And we expand our vision of what it can be. Jesus did great things. Jesus did incredible things. And he said, you can do even greater after I'm gone. And if we're sitting there saying, well, there's only 40 of us, so we're going to do this because that's what we can do, then you're not relying on God's input into it. If we can do it by ourselves, if we can do it on our own, it's not God's doing it. If we can't do it without God, then it may be a God-sized dream. And we need to expand our vision of what is possible, because we are capable of far more than we can even imagine with God's help. With God in it, we can do great things. And I believe we will. It's going to start by imagining what is possible with God's help. And who knows? It may be the soup kitchen. It may be feeding hungry kids. It may be a youth group that all the kids want to come to. I don't know. I'm still getting to know the community. But I know that God is capable of great things when we see the needs and we work to fulfill them. With God's help, we will expand our vision, our dream of what is possible with what we have. You willing to go there? Are you willing to start dreaming big dreams? Not church survival, but change the world dreams. Make a difference in the world and bring God's kingdom, not just to the church, but to the world. We can do it. God says we can. Thanks be to God. Amen.